Hi, welcome to the You Can Quit Smoking podcast, where we go over stories of success with overcoming smoking addiction. Many people have moved through this radical transformation and use smoking as an opportunity for inner growth with deeper self-awareness and a greater capacity for compassion. So many have done it, and you can quit smoking too. I'm your host, Jesse Hartnett, founder of Honor Your Heart. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here today with Ken Tomaro. Ken, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Ken Tomaro from Cleveland. That's about as in-depth as I can get.
Well, it's great to have you here. Tell us about your experience with smoking.
I'm 55 right now, and I actually quit 3 years ago. It may be four. I know they say that you're supposed to write that date down and tell everybody, but my brain doesn't work that way. I know it's been a substantial amount of time that I quit. I have quit several times over my life, but there is, I guess, a reason why this stuck. But I started smoking when I was 18. I've been smoking since then, and like I said, quit about 3-4 years ago.
Let's talk about how you started then. So you started at 18. What was it like that first time you smoked? What were you looking for?
I wasn't looking for anything. To be perfectly honest with you, my mother died of lung cancer when I was 12 years old, 1982. I got on my soapbox as a preteen and a teen, said I was never going to pick it up. It's disgusting. You shouldn't smoke. And then one day, I was 18. I was working at a Little Caesars in a strip mall, and my manager asked if I could run down 2 shops down to get him a pack of cigarettes. And I did. And I got back and I was like, can I try one of those just to see what the big deal is about all this? And my reaction was just like everybody else's. I coughed. It was disgusting. I thought, why the hell would anybody, and excuse my French, I know a lot of four-letter words. Why the hell would anybody pick this up? And then the next day, like, oh, I guess I'm a smoker now. Went out and bought a pack, and I had been smoking ever since.
Wow, that's a big shift from
Yeah.
I'll never try it to this is who I am now.
I used to, when people say it's an addictive drug, and in my younger years, I was like, oh, that's bullshit, whatever. No, it's true. It's an addictive drug. And anything that when you try to quit makes you angry and lash out and gives you withdrawal is a drug. So I get it now.
Yeah, it's hard to know how it's going to affect you until you're in it.
Right.
You were doing it at work. Was it tied to your work life?
I worked in the restaurant business for probably 14, 15 years, back of the house, kitchens and stuff. And it's very stressful, very hot, and very busy. And anytime you can get off that cook's line to get a cigarette or whatever. So back then, I treated it as like a stress relief. I get off the line for 5 minutes, have a cigarette, and I'll feel better. And thing is, years later, I discovered, even working in like an office environment where I would just go and smoke out of boredom, it absolutely is not a stress relief. Get done with that cigarette, and you go back in and you're like, holy crap, I'm still stressed out about whatever. So it's an excuse, really.
I found that for myself as well. I briefly was working in a restaurant and I found a lot of community with it as well. Did you have that element?
Yeah, any restaurant or office or whatever, if you're kind of all standing around with a bunch of other smokers, yeah, there is this sort of community. I made the joke that I feel like smokers were a lot tougher than non-smokers, because if we could stand outside in a 2-degree blizzard with no jacket just to get a cigarette, then the rest of the world was a bunch of sissies. That mentality to me is like, okay, it wasn't that we were tougher, it's that we were just more stupid.
I definitely think that tough image is part of it, the way we feel about ourselves. So how did you feel about yourself as a smoker?
That's funny, and as cliche as it is, in my younger days, I really do feel like I thought I was some kind of badass with a cigarette in my hand, and I had the answers to everything and knew how the world worked. And now that I'm older and a little more wrinkled, not so much.
Let's talk more about the quitting then, maybe even starting with that. Did you have an identity shift that helped you quit, or did one come after you quit, or what's kind of different between who you were as a smoker and who you were when you were done with that?
Well, that depends on which time I quit, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, when I say they, I guess it's the experts or whatever. And they tell you that it takes about 5 to 7 times before you really quit for sure. And again, if you multiply that by like 2 or 3, that's how many times it's taken me over the years. The longest I quit before this was for a year, and I was doing the patch, which gave me really awesome vivid dreams, but quitting is just as much mentally as it is physically. Your head has to be in that frame of mind. And I thought it was at that time. Like I said, I quit for about a year and I was good. And then some stupid thing popped up. I don't even remember what it was. And I picked it up again. This go around feels completely different to me. Like I don't think about it. Or if I do, it's like a split second and then it's gone. I don't get any cravings. If I walk past somebody who's smoking and I smell it, like, yep, that's cigarette smoke, but that's it. I have an older sister who had a stroke during the pandemic and she lost a lot of mobility. She lost a lot of freedom. She lost a lot of things. The one thing she would not give up is smoking. Like the assisted living facility she went into was dependent on whether she could smoke or not. On my birthday, she sent me a text. She was in a facility. It was like 25 minutes down the road. And she sent me a text like, oh, if you're not doing anything, you think you want to come and give me a smoke break? Like in her mind, it was no big deal to expect me to get in a car, drive 25 minutes, and then give her a break and then come back home. And somewhere in that, my brain just kind of kicked in or clicked or something happened. And I was like, I do not want to be that person where whatever this thing is has such a hold on me that I have no problems whatsoever inconveniencing anybody else. Just it had such a hold on her. And like I said, something just clicked. So I have not had cravings. I rarely think about it. I don't know. My life is, I guess, a little bit different.
Yeah, that would have a big effect. It's hard to watch someone go through that and struggle with that. And,
Yeah.
I'm sure the smoking had something to do with the stroke as well.
Yeah.
We're talking about you had this future version of yourself. You're like, hey, I don't want this to have a hold on me. Did you see it having a hold on your life already? Because I felt like I was just tied to smoking. It occupied so much of my focus and my time.
Yes and no. Cigarettes, your brain just, you try to justify every little thing. I think once in my life, I bought a carton of cigarettes instead of just a pack because, again, my brain was like, well, if you buy a carton, then you really are a smoker. Never mind the fact that I have been smoking for the last 20 years and I go out and buy a pack every other day. So it really does some stupid shit to your brain.
This last time you said you had a lot of motivation. You had that vision of your future of maybe what you didn't want and probably what you did want as well. So how did you end up quitting? Did you use the nicotine replacement or was it cold turkey or cut down? How'd you do it?
That's the crazy thing. The very first time years ago, I tried cold turkey. Didn't work. It just makes you really angry and you lash out. I've tried the gum, did the patch. This go around, I actually did cold turkey. Like I said, I feel like something in my mind just clicked. And I woke up and I'm like, don't need it, don't want it. It was just such a weird way to go, considering my entire life I've had a cigarette in my hand and I've quit 1,000 times and tried everything I could think of. And this, for some reason, just clicked.
That's incredible. That's so powerful, the motivation.
I can't even honestly say, well, maybe subconsciously it was a motivation. I wasn't thinking of it as a motivation. Like I said, I just woke up one day and I was like, just don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
I write a lot of poetry, and somewhere in there I wrote something about smoking. Secretly, I was just trying to kill myself with the slow burn of years of smoking, right? And I guess somewhere in there I decided my life was worth living. Not that I don't want to say I'm suicidal or was, but again, you do that. I'll just die of cancer one day because of the smoking, but I found something worth not smoking about.
No, I saw that in myself for sure. There's something that's going on there beneath the surface where it's like, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I don't really care one way or another, but it's that brush with death that actually can motivate us to live.
That's the funny thing. If I think of all the things, it wasn't the health benefits, it wasn't saving money, it wasn't the yellow teeth, it wasn't being able to breathe again. It was just this one weird thing that just, and that it's different for everybody. Can't tell you how many times people in my life had said, oh yeah, I used to smoke and I just quit. And I want to look at them and say, that's really cool, but also fuck off because everybody is completely different in how they go about it.
That's why I like the story so much, because it's really interesting to see what worked for people, because it's so different and the motivations are
Yeah.
different. But there's similarities, but there's also just a unique strain. And what worked for me is not going to work for everybody. And I know that. So I love people coming on and saying, hey, it was really easy for me, because it was not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's totally different for everybody.
I want to take a step back. So you had mentioned that you were smoking when you had stress. Were you able to adapt to a different way to cope with stress when you didn't have smoking? What changed with stress?
I mean, I still have stress. I still get it. I just don't immediately need to reach for a cigarette because I think, again, my brain said that is just a crutch. It's not fixing the problem. It's not teaching you how to adapt to stress. I still have my days where I get stressed out or whatever, but I'm like, you just need to step back and take a breath or whatever instead of grabbing a cigarette or turn on the TV and watch TV. Or because I ride a lot, I can do that. So I don't know that it was any one thing, but
But you were able to adapt just fine without smoking.
yeah. And any other time, like I said, I would still get the cravings and I would still think about it. And I would think, oh, well, I'll buy a pack and I'll just smoke one. And then I'll hide the pack in my glove compartment of my car, which is not hiding it at all. I know where it's at, but I don't know how I adapted. But all of a sudden, it was just like, you're no longer a smoker.
And what benefits have you seen since quitting smoking?
The big one is just breathing better. If I walk up 3 flights of stairs, I may get winded for a few seconds. When I was smoking, I'd be winded for 15 minutes thinking and that's the thing too. You walk up a flight of stairs, you can barely breathe, you feel like you're gonna fucking die. And even that is just not enough to get you to quit. I think over the years I've had some other like asthma issues and things, so those are still around. The breathing for sure. I've gained weight in the last year, but I go on a side note and say I believe that's because pot became legal around here, and apparently pot really gives me the munchies, so I got to work on that.
And I think that with the breathing, what's so interesting is that, at least for me, I didn't know how good it felt to breathe because I had been smoking for so long that I was like, this is just how it is. I just have to
Yeah.
cough and be winded and be tired. And, this is life. And then when I quit, I was like, I've been missing out this whole time. It shocked me how much better I felt.
That is exactly right. And then the second thing to me is that your sense of smell comes back.
Yeah.
And I felt like at least the first month or so, it was like everybody in the world around me smells like cheap dollar store dryer sheets.
Yeah, they're not always
So
good smells.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the taste, too. A lot of people can maybe get a little too excited about eating because of that.
Yeah.
So. But I was happy to have an appetite back after I used to not eat when I smoked. I didn't have much of an appetite at all.
You know what? I can agree with that too. I mean, I still ate, but yeah, you would have a cigarette or two for breakfast
Yep.
and something for lunch, and that was, hey, I'm good.
Yep.
But that's so weird how that works.
Well, cool. So thanks for coming on here. I'm wondering, do you have any final words to someone that's struggling? Maybe they're like you, maybe they try to quit, didn't work. What would be your bit of advice or wisdom for them?
My advice or wisdom, and it's nothing new, is honestly, and maybe it sounds cliche, but keep trying. Like I said, everyone is different. I know it's real easy. Like if you tell everybody you're quitting and you quit and then you slip up and then you feel really bad because you told all these people, it's okay. You can quit again. And everybody's different, and you just have to kind of find what that is that works for you and just keep trying. And again, you have to be mentally into it too. Just understand that it's not just a physical thing. It's your brain has to say, I'm ready.
100%. Thank you. How can people get in touch with you, and do you want to talk more about your work and your writing?
I have a website, just Tomaro, Tomaro.com. It's got all kinds of free writing. It's got YouTube videos. I have a blog in there. I have a couple of books out. You just go there and check it out. I always say this, if you remember the poetry from when you were in school, it's not that. It's not rhyming. It's not really academic. It's just down to earth kind of blue collar stuff. And I know there are several poems in there that reference my smoking.
Neat. Do you kind of do similar themes, or you mix it up every time?
All of my writing has the same kind of themes: death, love, loss, memories, childhood. So when I write, I don't do like one book with just one theme. I don't know if I could read an entire book of poetry on the theme of love or loss or whatever. And to me, it's organic. It just kind of comes how life comes. So it's all generally the same kind of themes.
Well, that sounds wonderful. That's the stuff that really matters. So thank you.
And it keeps my brain out of thinking about smoking. So,
Yes, the passions, the hobbies, so
yeah,
important. Thank you for coming on here and sharing a piece of yourself with us, and I really appreciate it.
appreciate the opportunity. When I saw that, I don't know what it was. Again, something just clicked in my head and said, maybe I should talk about this.
Yeah, it's better. The more we can process what we went through, because it's pretty
Yeah,
wild when you look back and you're like, wow, I really did that, you know?
yeah, it's a big deal.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy for you that you've moved on and that life is good.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone. We'll be back next week. Before we go, if you are a pregnant mom who is currently struggling with smoking, I want you to know about a completely free, supportive resource I created just for you, the Heart Within Sponsorship. This community is a safe space to navigate the stress of pregnancy while maintaining a smoke-free journey. It offers emotional resources and connects you with other moms who understand what you've been going through. You don't have to do this alone. Find out more and join this free community today at honoryourheart.net. I'll see you in the next episode.